Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Town of Smyrna's Town Council Workshop. Today's date is July 29th, 2021. And before we begin, I've asked Jerry to say the prayer for us and Tim to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would stand with us, please.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for this day, Lord. So thankful for the blessings that you give us, Father. Lord, we're thankful that we live in a town, in a country that gives us freedoms to be able to do this, Father. And I just ask you to continue to bless us, Lord. Father, as we have this meeting tonight, Lord, we just ask for wisdom to make the right decisions and ask the right questions, Father. Lord, we are so thankful for those that take care of us and protect us. We thank you for our fire department and our police department, Lord. We ask you to be with them and bless them. We thank you for the people that work at the hospitals and the healthcare, Lord, and just ask that you be with them, Lord. Father, continue to be with our state, our country, Lord, and I just pray now that you'll go with us. Father, forgive me when I fail you, and I pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
If you would, please face the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jerry and Tim. Tonight we'll be discussing our workshop items. These are items that we as a council typically go over and look at to be placed on our agenda for our council meetings. So tonight I'm going to start with the first item, item number 1, consideration of a resolution relative to a plan of services for property located on tax map 50. This is parcels 23, 2301, and part of parcel 22. Mitch, are you doing that for us tonight?
I will do it for you. Yeah, so this is part of a larger annexation and rezoning portion. So the subject properties as part of this request are northwest of I-24 and Almville interchange. It also borders the I-24 right-of-way. The land use plan would support light industrial and commercial development for this area. Surrounding zoning consists of C2 and I2 in town and then RM in Rutherford County. Town would provide all services in this area upon annexation except for the water, which would be provided by CUD. Sewer would connect to the Olive Branch extension when it is completed, which is roughly around spring 2022. There's a 4.55 acre portion of parcel 22.00 which would not be included with this annexation. As it stands today, there's currently single family residents on that piece of property and they would like to remain there and utilize it as is. The proposed PID is for industrial development, would be for 837,200 square foot of industrial buildings spread over 3 different buildings. Access to the site would be via a private ingress and egress easement, which would be extended from the existing industrial park south of this request. It would provide access to a signalized intersection at Midway Lane and would also provide access to Almaville between Neal Avenue and McNary Lane. Accompanying rezoning request from C2 to PID would also allow connection to the existing industrial park. The allowed uses within this PID would be consistent with uses allowed in the I2 light industrial district. A traffic study has also been completed and submitted as part of this request. And then the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this request, 5-4 and 1 against, with the following conditions of a connection to the Olive Branch public sewer line is not allowed until the completion of the construction. Ingress and egress easement is required to connect to the adjoining South Park development and to provide documentation of this easement prior to the site plan approval. And parcel 23.00 was labeled incorrectly, so we just asked them to relabel it to 23.01 on the plans. And adequate fire flow is required by the adopted fire code, must be met prior to the issuance of any building permits. With that, staff would recommend approval with the comments as recommended by the Planning Commission.
All right, thank you, Mitch. We talked about this last month, or at the last meeting anyway. Is there any questions you all might have for Mitch or comments? All right, if there aren't any, we'll place that on the agenda. Item number 2, consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation and PID zoning of property located on tax map 50, parcel 22, as well as parcels 23 and 2301. Requested by the Prologis LP on behalf of multiple property owners containing 73.53 acres. Properties are located south and west of Almaville Road and I-24, and this is a second reading.
It was part of my report I just read. It was all of the annexation, all that property being requested as part of
Little
that.
housekeeping, okay.
Yep.
Any comments or questions for Mitch? Moving on to item 3, consideration of a resolution and memorandum of ordinance number 21-28 relative to the annexation and PID zoning of property located on tax map 50, parcel 22, as well as parcels 23 and 2301, same property. Any
Yes.
questions or comments? Move to item 4. Consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located at tax map 50, parcel 54, from I-2 and C-2 to PID, requested by Prologis LP. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 9.9 acres and is located west of Almaville Road. This too is a second reading.
This is this is the rezoning request that would be part of the overall PID zoning, and that does allow the connection from that annexation to the South Park Industrial Development.
Questions or comments for Mitch? We'll place that on the agenda. Item number 5, consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 28, part of parcel 44 from R6 to PRD, requested by Elisa Siebman. The property requested to be rezoned contains 39.1 acres, is located on Sam Ridley Parkway West and Motlow College Boulevard, and this is a second reading. Mitch?
So the applicant for this has actually requested deferral to the September council meeting, which would give them extra time to do their due diligence on some geotechnical work with the property.
Okay. Any questions for Mitch on this deferral? We'll place that on the agenda. Item 6, consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of tax map 18, parcel 6 from I-3 to I-1, requested by Frederick Grace, containing approximately 8.5 acres. The property is located at the corner of North Lowry Street and Aviation Parkway, and this is a second reading.
Yeah, this is a industrial tract that's currently located on the corner of North Lowry Street and Aviation Parkway. Land use plan for this area would support heavy industrial development. Surrounding zoning is I-3 and PUD, which is the fleet equipment storage. Proposed use is a warehouse for this property, which would be allowed in the I-3 and the I-1 district. Setbacks in the I-1, just to give a little bit variation between the I-1 and I-3 district. The I-1 district just has a little bit less restrictive setbacks, so your front setback is going to be 30 feet versus the I-3 is 100 feet, so just better placement for industrial buildings on this property. The rezoning will allow for the truck dock at the rear of the warehouse, and then the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this request, 6-4 and 0 against, and staff would recommend approval of this.
All right, any questions for Mitch on this one? We'll put that on the agenda then. Item number 7, consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 54, part of parcel 5001, and amend the approved PRD on tax map 54. Parcel 51, requested by Sean Collins and Andre Jekyll, containing approximately 15.2 acres. Properties are located at 8162 and 8286 Rocky Fork Almaville Road. This is a second reading.
And these properties are located on Rocky Fork Almaville Road, southeast of Morton Lane. Land use plan would support medium-density residential in this area. Surrounding zoning is R3 and a PRD of Cedar Hills in town and RM in Rutherford County. This would rezone a portion of 50.01 parcel from R3 to PRD and would incorporate that into the approved Stewart's Glen development. This would bring just shy of an acre into that overall development. The existing PRD is approved for 20 single-family lots and 32 townhomes. This proposed PRD would allow for 18 single-family lots and 41 townhomes. This would be an overall increase of 7 residential units, and then the density would also increase as part of this from 3.7 units an acre to 3.9 units an acre. Access to the site would be via Rocky Fork Almaville Road at 3 different locations. Minimum square footage of 1,600 square feet and townhomes, which are labeled as cottages on the plans, would be age restricted as well. This would be serviced by CUD, and fire flow is not adequate at this time. Single-family lots served by a public street, and then the townhomes streets would be private throughout this development. Planning Commission did recommend approval of this request, 6-4 and 0 against, and with that, staff would recommend approval.
Questions for Mitch on this? Hearing none, we'll move on and put that on the agenda. Item number 8, consideration of an ordinance relative to the amendment of the text of the Smyrna Municipal Zoning Ordinance to amend Article 2, Section 2.020, definitions, and Article 3, Section 3.180, fences, and this is a second reading.
Yeah, so the zoning ordinance amendments, these are all staff recommended. in order to better clarify the definition of what fences and decorative fences are within the ordinance, and also provide citizens with a better way to navigate our ordinance and give them a clear idea of what to do when they're out in the field and like to put up a fence. Currently, fences are allowed on side and rear property lines, and they are not to encroach on the front setback, public utility and drainage easements, or at the right-of-way. Decorative fences are allowed to encroach on front setback and cannot enclose any areas. As part of the original amendment that was heard last month, it would better define decorative fences, which should be no more than 3 foot tall, can be constructed of wood, wrought iron, vinyl, or brick, and allowed to extend into the front setback along the side property lines only. The front yard cannot be enclosed as part of this as well. The second amendment we brought to you tonight, same changes to the decorative fence definition, which would be no more than 3 foot tall, constructed of wood, wrought iron, vinyl, or brick, and allowed to encroach on the front setback. This added to it the construction of no more than 10 horizontal feet and no more than 5 foot sections as part of it. It would allow decorative split rail sections or of fence or brick and brick walls along the driveway, and still would not allow for enclosure of the front yard or extend all the way along the side property line to the road. We also looked at a couple other municipalities around us to get their definitions of what they allow as far as fences are concerned. So Murfreesboro, no property line setback requirements for fences, but not encroaching on easements or right-of-way, which is similar for a lot of these other jurisdictions, is no encroachment on any right-of-ways or easements. Rutherford County, no fences shall exceed 8 feet in side or rear yards, and no fences in front yard may exceed 8 feet if fence is transparent, which would be a split rail, picket, or chain link fence. Columbia, in the street yard, so their definition of a low density is 6 feet for the height of a fence, and then all other residential districts is 4 feet. All other yards, you're talking your side and rear, in that low density residential 8 feet, all others 6. Franklin, the front yard can be up to 3 foot tall, side and rear can be up to 7 feet tall. In corner lots along the side street, the front yard fence height applies to 20 feet behind the front facade, and then past that point it can be 7 feet. So say you have your house, 20 feet behind that is where you can go up to your 7 feet. But in front of that, you have to be at 3 foot height. Gallatin, residential and mixed use areas cannot exceed 4 feet in front yard, not exceed 6 feet in the side and rear yard, and the fences in the front yard shall be no greater than 50% opaque, which includes your split rail and picket fences. Hendersonville, in the rear and interior side yard, 7 feet for a max height, and side street yard, maximum height is 6 feet, and required to be set back a minimum of 50% of the required depth of the side street. Front yards shall not be located any closer to the lot line than the home, except in the instance when the lot's less than 2 acres, and that reduction, that does get reduced if the fence height is less than 42 inches tall. With this, Planning Commission did recommend approval of this as passed on the first reading, 7-4 and 0 against. And with this, staff would recommend approval of either of these requests, just to provide a little bit more clarity to the public and staff as well.
Thank you, Mitch. That was a long one.
Yep.
Any questions for Mitch on the fences?
That was a lot of information.
Or
Is there any
lots
way
of-
to get a summary of what you just said to us?
So in a nutshell, all the other municipalities do allow fences within their front yards, which is not what we would be allowing. We're just going to be allowing them in the front yards as far as those decorative fences are concerned. That 3 foot height, no more than 10 linear feet in 5 foot sections. So essentially that's what it boils down to. In a nutshell, that's it.
Wait, add in just a minute. There basically is two opportunities here. One is we can leave it as it is today and not make any changes. The second would be, as he said, to bring the fences no higher than 3 foot, 36 inches, and up the side, not enclosing the front. So the choice, the council asked us to go back and do some research. We talked to some different towns. Some of the communities around us do allow fences in the front yards. We've got a record of who those are. We're happy to share those. But basically, it's the decision of the council of what you want to do. If we can leave it as is, or if you want to extend them in the front setbacks up to the front setback on the side yards. That's the two options.
And that Second option is based on the amended information that he gave us as
Right,
of
just better
today.
defining what the materials that could be used. That was one of the questions.
Right, but it's
We-
different than what he brought at the last workshop.
The last
right?
one was a little bit vague. We were concerned that you could use chicken wire or, those kind of things. So we defined what the fences could be built from, how high they could be, and what where they could go. Does that help?
Helps a little bit.
Okay. What other questions?
No, it was a lot of information
ma'am.
to take
It
in
is.
all at one time.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
But basically, we're giving you two options. One is leave it as is. Second, allow the fences in the front yard to the front
the side
setback,
back.
on the sides only, at no
Right.
greater than 36 inches, made out of wood, vinyl, wrought iron. I think that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I was gonna ask, a lot of these new materials are like aluminum that look like wrought iron.
It is. It's
So
aluminum.
It's okay
Yeah,
with that too
yes.
then, okay.
Yes.
Good questions. Any further questions to Mitch or Brian? All right, we'll place that on the agenda for the next council meeting. Move to item 9, consideration of the ordinance relative to an amendment to the Town of Smyrna Municipal Code, Title 15, Motor Vehicles, Traffic, and Parking, Chapter 6, Parking. This is a second reading. Have you got that, sir?
I do.
All right.
Vice Mayor and Council, I think we've hashed this out in the first reading pretty well, but the only change that this will be making is allowing for these parking situations, it will allow the police department as well as the codes department to enforce those provisions. Just because they're working 24/7 where the codes officials would not be here on midnights and those types of things.
In general terms, speak to the parking portion of this and just kind of tell everybody what we're doing.
This will be under Title 15, Motor Vehicles, Traffic, and Parking. So it's going to address first, let's see, 605, which is motorized vehicles and residential property.
Is this the ordinance from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. or going further with that?
No, this, police
Just
can already.
parking in general.
Police can already enforce
Okay.
that. This would be like where you're parking on the grass or those types of violations where usually codes would come out and deal with those. Or storing cars where they shouldn't be stored, storing them out front, those types of things. And also semi-trailers being parked in residential on private property. So the streets, police have always been able to deal with issues on the streets, but this is for those instances where certain parking issues that may be on the private property that violate the codes. And if you think about it, a lot of times those folks may be working or driving those vehicles during the day, so at nighttime, when the offense may be happening, the police are going to be the ones there, and this just gives them the ability to enforce it as well.
Does it take this out of the codes department's hands in a way?
No, not at all, just in addition to.
Just after hours, okay. All right. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, we will move on to item number 10 and place that on the agenda. Item 10, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Motorola relative to the radio system maintenance for the police department.
Yes, sir.
How are you this evening?
Doing well. How are you?
Good.
So we are asking that the maintenance agreement be approved by the mayor, which will help our department as we move forward in events like tornadoes and things of that nature, that they will be able to maintain our equipment. Anytime we have any outages, they come out and take care of that as part of this agreement.
Good. All right. Questions at all? Any? Seeing none, we'll put this on the agenda and move to item 11.
Thank you.
Approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a resolution between the town of Smyrna and Rutherford County to provide maintenance for traffic signals at the ramps for I-840 and Jefferson Pike.
Thank
Oh,
you, Mr.
Tom.
Mayor. Hey, how you doing? As you know, with the Jefferson Pike widening project going on, currently there are 2 temporary signals out there that are operated and maintained by the contractor until that project is complete. Once it's complete and they convert that over into permanent signals, It's technically in the county, so the county is asking us to perform operation maintenance, repair maintenance of those signals. So this resolution, which myself and attorney prepared and was approved by Rutherford County for us to be able to go in and maintain those traffic signals since they're technically in the county. The county doesn't, even though they do have some signals in the county, they don't maintain their own. They ask Laverne, Smyrna, and Murfreesboro to do that for them. This is a 3-year agreement, so 3 years from now, once everything's approved, we'll be providing another resolution between Smyrna and the county.
And because Steve's not here, I'm going to ask you a question about mast arms. Have they been ordered, or do we know? That's a county product. Do we know?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, it is
they
TDOT, yeah.
probably have ordered them already. I'm sure they did. It only takes a couple of years to get them, so I hope they ordered them.
Okay. And so for the next 3 years, we'll be under contract with the county to handle the signalization. Is that the timing of the signalization?
It would be mainly maintaining them, cleaning the cabinets, make sure the traffic lights are working right, replacing any bulbs or any detectors that have gone bad. And if anything gets hit, then we would oversee major repair and upgrades to them, and then ultimately pass that cost on to the county.
I'm assuming that TDOT would govern the timing of those lights then?
Yes.
Coming off the interstate? They are already in place, as most people know, that if they've been out that way. I was out that way actually yesterday, and it probably needs some timing work, but,
Yeah.
you know, nonetheless, it's nice to see signals there. It's a lot safer. So that's a 3-year project, Jefferson Pike is, as I recall anyway, so. All right, thank you, Tom. Any questions for Tom on this before he sits down? I do have one. I don't know if you can even answer this. This is not our signal. It is to care for, but how would this tie in, if it would, to the ITS system later?
That's a good question, and something that I've talked to TDOT about, and as far as running fiber, making sure there's fiber down to Hickory Grove Road, where there will be a traffic signal there, and that's within our jurisdiction, so we will be operating and maintaining that after everything's built out. I've been asking them to also run fiber down to this intersection or interchange as well, so that we can have cameras down there. So I'm trying to get that linked into our overall ITS
I know
system.
that Hollingshead is working with fiber to come down to his building, so there may be some other fiber options that we have utilized, depending on who they end up going with as their provider. One of them could be the person that we use for all of our other ITS, so.
It's a pretty major intersection, so I was just curious.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Tom.
Sir.
Any other questions? Move to item number 12, approval of the terms of and the authorization for the mayor to execute amendment number 2 with TDOT relative to the Samberley Parkway widening project. Charles?
How you doing, Mayor and Council? This agreement with TDOT just changes the funding sources from the federal government from block grant to highway infrastructure program. The amounts of federal money and state money stays the same, but they are removing the right-of-way item, which we had very little expense in that, so we didn't have much reimbursables. And they removed that, and they gave us the construction, engineering, and inspection item, which we will have reimbursable expenses for. So it's positive for us to make this change.
Questions for Charles on this? Are we up to date on the work out there? Are we running ahead or behind? Can we promise anything?
We're running a little bit behind, but paving is scheduled for start tomorrow on the eastbound side. So they were doing prep work out there today, getting ready for the tie-in, side road tie-in. So some of those were shut down, and part of one lane was shut down near Stonecrest, just getting the saw cut ready for paving tomorrow. And hopefully that will push on through, that we'll be paving from one end all the way through to the interstate.
That's going to be a hot job tomorrow.
Yes, sir, it is, but they haven't mobilized as of lunch. They hadn't mobilized equipment, so tomorrow or maybe more of a mobilization and prep work, getting everything on site ready to pave.
I know that the town itself is doing a good job of getting the announcements out there about road closures and things of that nature. I get the same texts from my office over there on Sam Ridley Parkway from our staff there. So I think they're reading those announcements and letting all the people that work at our company know you're going to have a lane closure over there for part of the day. And
Right, Tammy and
So-
Susan do a great job about
Yeah.
getting that out to all the different agencies, so they really do a great job about getting that out, and also Kathy getting it out on Facebook and all the other places too. So we're trying to hit as many outlets as we can to give people as much of a heads up as we know of when we have lane closures scheduled.
I see it on Facebook myself personally, and I see those announcements all the time. So if the public is watching and is interested in knowing where there's going to be lane closures and things, that's one of the great resources to do. I think it's on our website too, is it not?
It is.
Yeah. So if you want to update yourself on traffic closures and lane closures, it's a great time to be doing that. There's a lot of work going on, so thank you, Charles.
All right, thank you.
Put that on the agenda. Item number 13, any questions for Charles before I move on? All right, approval of the terms of and the authorization for the mayor to execute change order number 3 with Greenway of Nashville to construct the industry gate at Zama Park. Hey, Mike.
Hello, Vice Mayor and Council. Appreciate the opportunity to come before you tonight about this. Brian and I talked about this way back when we were building Zama Park, which we opened September of last year, if you can believe that. But staff plans to partner with Nissan North America to fund the industry gate in Zama Park. We have 2 gates right now over there, and you're well aware of that. The structure was designed but not fabricated and not installed in hopes of a future partnership, which has come to fruition now. Greenway of Nashville was the general contractor on the job, and they sent another estimate of $33,550 for the final gate. We did ask them to put letters on both sides. The other ones just had letters on one side, but this way you can see it from Lowry Street as well, which we had done later on the other gates. Also, some of the materials have went up from the original estimate, which was done last summer, so that's why you see a little bit of increase from the estimate from the earlier one from last summer. Brian, I'll let him share that we've got that partnership in place.
Yeah, we reached out to Nissan and shared with them. Nissan, as you know, Nissan came to our opening of Zama Park, reached out to them and asked them to consider partnering with us, and they have made a financial contribution, sizable contribution to help us put that last gate in place and complete that park. So very happy to have that
Appreciate you guys
partnership.
reaching out to them. They're good community partners to us.
Yeah.
Anything else, Mike?
No, sir.
Do we have any updates on the crosswalk over there yet, the pedestrian crosswalk? Are we still a ways off on that?
That's Charles.
Did I ask a sensitive question?
Yes, sir. Talking about on the Lowry part of it?
Yes.
Right, we're still working with utilities on that because we can't combine that into the TDOT grant without messing that up and losing the grant, so we had to keep those separate. So we're still working with them, and we've gotten most of the wires moved off that side, and now AT&T can come in and start removing poles. But we still have a couple of places where we haven't been able to get the electric redone for a couple of customers out there that we've got to get that moved off their pole. So we're still working on that, trying to work it, because we got to keep that work separate from the
Right, because
TDOT
the grant-
contractor and grant, yes, sir.
Is there, can you speak to, while you're up here, any plans for what's going on Lowry and part of that project by the park there?
Oh, right, well, the Washington Street crossing, that right there, we're working with easements with the railroad. We've gotten everything we believe they needed from our appraiser and gotten that information to CSX. So we're just waiting for them to approve our easement, to get on the property to do our work. CSX is scheduled to come in, I believe, in September and start putting up the pedestrian gates and reworking the gates and crossings within the track area. And we're hoping to let ours, maybe, September, October, after those gates are in place, to do the sidewalk connection down to the park over to Front Street.
How about some of the streetscaping and stuff that we've talked about before? Small medians and,
The
Lamp
only
posts.
median we're gonna have now is just
Right there.
the one section.
Right.
That's where you go, turn left into Washington, where there's no left turn into Washington. We're just gonna have only that one section. We removed the other ones back up towards the park because we were concerned with queue links, with the change with the apartments coming in, that our queue length wouldn't be enough. So we're gonna leave that open for now and not put in a physical barrier in those areas.
Probably could have waited and asked for that in a few minutes, but while we had you up here, I thought we'd ask.
You'll have your opportunity
We want
later.
to know what a Q-Link is too.
That's just cars stacking up.
Okay.
So just how many cars that you're stacking up in that turn lane. Even once you build a physical barrier, we're afraid that there wouldn't be enough stacking distance in that turn lane and they would be out in the left through lane, which would back traffic up. So this way, if we leave it open, we can make adjustments and that could just be in paint instead of having a concrete raised curb there that would be much more difficult to move.
All right.
That was a lot of information, and to give you a condensed version, we're held up waiting on some utilities that the town of Smyrna we don't have control over. That would be AT&T and Middle Tennessee Electric.
Well, I know we talked about it for a little while at our budget retreat and some of our council meetings. The
Right,
thing is,
it's-
the reason I'm asking the questions is not to put you on the spot with us,
Well,
but
we're
I think
trying to,
the public out there loves hearing what's going on.
I was working with our contractor, was hoping that we could have our contractor come in and do it all, but we can't amend his contract with any utility items, because if it does, then all those utility items fall under the governance of TDOT specs, and that would be a much more to get all that utility certification would delay it. So we're gonna have to split it out and probably have to bid out separate the utility items, or have the utility come in and do that work themselves under their own and not be under our contractor. So we'll just have to have separate contractors.
You'd be teasing if you said we'd be waiting on TDOT for anything, right? You can't say that, I can.
We're not waiting on TDOT right now.
Not right now. Right now, I'm not waiting on TDOT. Like I said, we were just working with TDOT to see if we could combine it, and they have come back with no, that if you do any utilities with your current contractor, that would come under their provisions,
They'd have
and
to
that we
certify
would
it.
have to drop back and do it.
Yeah.
So we got to keep those separate.
Sure. All right. Thank you, Charles.
Yes,
Didn't
sir.
mean to put you on the spot. Item number, let's see where we're at.
15.
15, yes. Consideration of the declaration of surplus items. Did we do 14?
Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't do 14. I'm
Okay, I
sorry,
didn't think we
14.
did. Approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding with WGNS for application to FCC to place a radio transmitter for emergency information broadcast.
Vice
Todd?
Mayor and Council, this is, we're requesting approval for the mayor to sign this memorandum of understanding. What this does is it allows WGNS to apply for a potential transmitter for emergency broadcasts, severe weather and all that information. We have a problem with more of that edge of town over towards Rock Springs Road having weak signals. This allows us to have a better severe weather and emergency broadcast, partnering with WGNS for this.
Questions for Todd?
So where would that be placed?
The
At
Rock
their
Springs Road
station?
Tower,
At
Morse
that-
Hill, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's preliminary. We have to get with them, the engineers have to get together to make sure everything can work. This just allows them to go to FCC and request it, and then we can start working on the engineering to see if, where it can be put, how it can be put, and power supplies.
Any others? We'll put that on the agenda and move to item 15, consideration of the declaration of surplus items. Rex, how are you?
Vice Mayor, Council, doing well, thank you. We provided you with a list in your packet of items that we've declared as surplus and would like to sell at auction. The list includes vehicles, 2 compressors, desktops and laptop computers, and some other miscellaneous items. We'll, of course, advertise this in the Murfreesboro Post, place it on our website, and also on Channel 3. And we will be selling these items through GovDeals, an online auction company.
HG, it's a chance to do your Christmas shopping.
Absolutely. I was just looking this list over. and
It's kind of a shop local kind of thing.
I think I need some Beats wired headphones with a case.
Thank you, Rex. Any questions for Rex on any of this? All right, we'll place that on the agenda. Move to item 16, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Talbert Law to perform title work and closing services for the North Lowry Waterline Project.
Yes. Vice Mayor, this, obviously for utilities project on North Lowry is going to involve 39 tracks. We utilize Mr. Talbert's office traditionally for most of our projects for the title opinions and closing services and the settlement forms. And they would be performing that on those that did settle, that didn't go to condemnation, we would handle those, but this would be those that agreed to a settlement arrangement.
Any questions for Mr. Peach?
Mr. Peach, what is the North Lowry Water Line Project?
I believe utilities can probably answer that a little bit better than I can. I can just tell you where it is, but Mike can probably give you
So, North Lowry is the next water model project. Up next is Sam Ridley Weekly, which we should be going to construction on this year. We're doing easement acquisition stuff, and then North Lowry will be from basically close to the town center, down Lowry Street to right around Sam Davis. So it's a water model project for fire flow.
Thank you, Mike. Any other questions?
I know you said we're doing the weekly this year, so when do you anticipate this project taking place?
This will go to construction probably either the next fiscal year or the following, depending on how long it takes to get the easements and stuff.
We will place that on the agenda. If there are no further questions, we'll go to other. Brian, do we have any other?
One point of other I'd like to make recognition of. Kathy, if you'd ask Robert Culp to step out. He's in the booth tonight. Many of you know Robert has been a longtime employee with the town of Smyrna, been our IT manager. Has done a great job of taking care of us with computers and the servers and telephones and those kind of things. Robert is leaving us, going to pursue a new career in the same field, but a different job for him. So we wouldn't have this opportunity before our next council meeting, but I'd like to just show some appreciation to Robert, his years of service, and how much we appreciate the work he's done. So, council.
Robert, can I get you to look at my computer before you go? I mean, we appreciate all the time you've given to the town. I know it's been many, many years, and so congratulations on your next endeavor. We wish you well. And if any of you all want to ask Robert or wish him well, please feel free to do so at this point, but thank you for the time.
Thank you, Robert. Thanks. Appreciate it, thank you.
All right. We will move into our staff reports, I guess, if there's nothing else. And I'm going to kind of blanket cover the room real quick instead of picking on you individually. I'm going to start over here and just kind of move across the room. So if you have something, Jeff has something.
Vice Mayor, Council, just briefly, HR is running as normal, but I did want to take this opportunity to mention our 9th annual Smyrna Charity Golf Scramble, which is next Friday. All the proceeds of that event go to our local United Way. Last year we made about $50,000 that went back into the community, and we're hoping to surpass that this year. We do have about 10 teams left. We're right now, we got about 42 teams, foursome teams in the event, and so there's still some space left. If anybody in the community wants to join in, they can visit our Facebook page to see the instructions on how to register. So just wanted to announce that.
Is there morning and afternoon tea times?
There is a morning tea time at 7 a.m. and then a 1 p.m. tea time. The 7 a.m. is almost full, probably because it's going to be super hot. So get it while it's there's still a few slots left.
I will be there with sunscreen.
Me too. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom, nothing? I'm going to go in the back of the room. I see a no. Rex, you got anything? Mike?
Okay, just a couple of quick things. We just finished our TPUC annual inspection for the gas department. As you saw in my weekly report, we had no violations, but also found out something as well. The inspectors are on 3-year cycles, so they'll come to your utility for 3 years and then they switch them. Our inspector told us this year that he is using Smyrna as a template for other utilities he goes to because of such a good job that the staff does. So I wanted to give a shout out to the staff and tell them congratulations for all the great work on the inspection. Also, we were awarded The APGA Safety Contest winner, we were in Group D, which is 38,000 to 70,000 man-hours, and that is for the lowest number of recordable work injuries for this year. It's for calendar year 2020. So again, congratulations to the staff.
It's nice to be used as a template.
Yes, sir.
Good example. Thank you, Mike. I'm looking, I'll come back to you. Todd, nothing? Anybody? Mitch?
We've got a rather large planning commission meeting coming up here for you guys. We have a couple rezonings, annexation, a couple plats. One of the site plans, numerous site plans we got coming up is Whataburger. We got one of those coming here to Smyrna, so.
So they decided to come here after all?
Yes, so we were excited to announce that. We do have that plan coming to us, and that's probably the one we're all excited to see. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mitch. You probably just got a lot of people excited. Any others? Charles, Chief, Charles?
Vice Mayor and Council, just kind of follow up a little bit more on Sam Ridley. Once we finish paving on the east side, the pavement will be about 1.5 inches lower than the curb, because that, we're going to wait on the final surface until all work is done. So once paving is done on both sides, then we'll move to the center section and build that out. And once everything is completed, then the final resurfacing and pavement markings will be in place. So if people see that, the paving's a little bit lower than the curb, that's the reason that we're waiting on that once we switch traffic here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. On the Lee Victory Recreational Park entrance, we had a meeting today, progress meeting on it. As you can see, the topsoil has been removed. They've got down to hard pan on the sublayer, and they'll start bringing in fill materials to start building up the subgrade. I believe they'll be starting that tomorrow or next week. And Jenny Lane Extension, we've gotten all the appraisals done and has been turned over to the real estate buyer for the 6 properties that we are touching on that.
Good to hear. Thank you, Charles. Chief, you're last. Do you want to say anything before? No? You good? Miss Diane, do you have anything?
Just my usual. We've had 40 new licenses so far. So.
That number seems to
We
get
got one
larger.
more day.
Yeah, that number seems to get larger every month.
It does.
Anything else? Brian, you got
Just
something?
a couple of things, Vice Mayor and Council. I had the same announcement on our gas utility on the APGA. I just wanted to recognize that was the group we participated in was 38,000 to 70,000 hours to create a safe environment. So that's a strong number for us, and Smyrna continues to do a good job. And I'd like to extend my congratulations to those folks for the work they do. The other thing I want to share with you just very quickly, we had a group of Girl Scouts, Troop 1645, visited the fire department. We got quite a few little thank you cards from the troop on an individual basis, but I got to see a few of the pictures, and I think they had a good time visiting our fire department and visiting with our firefighters. I'd be remiss if I didn't say love where you live, and remember that litter is something you personally control. We'd like to keep our streets as clean as possible and those kind of things. So if you're, near a trash can, need to empty your car at the service station or something, or at your house, please recognize that. Also, if you're hauling trash to the convenience centers or those kind of things to secure the load in the back of your trucks, back of your cars, those kind of things. The other thing I wanted to mention is the town of Smyrna invites you to the Depot District for a barbecue fest, Saturday, August the 14th. That'll be from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Come out and enjoy some great food, live music, and family fun. I think the barbecue fest itself is free to the public. I'm not sure, Mike, there'll be some folks selling food products and that kind of thing. So come hungry, bring your wallet, and have a good time. The last thing I had on my list is we are right around the corner from school starting back. Just thinking about it this morning as I was coming into work, and next week or so, we're going to need to remember to slow down for those school zones. Keep an eye out for the kiddos on the side of the street, walking or riding their bikes or skateboards or whatever they're doing to get to and from school. Sometimes, when they're going back and it's first week or two, they get kind of rambunctious and they forget to watch for the cars. So let's make sure we're watching for them as we travel our streets. Be safe, be careful, and watch out for our kiddos. That's all I have tonight.
All right, thank you. Jeff, you have anything?
Nothing, sir.
Raquel, do you have something for us tonight?
Yes, congratulations to Mr. Strange and your department for the man hours and for being the standard. That's awesome to recognize and to know that you're setting the standard out there for others. So, and I also wanted to again tell Mr. Culp blessings to him and his new endeavors. And lastly, my mother had a birthday this week, so I would like to wish Patricia Peebles a happy birthday.
Are we hiding her age? I'm just asking. A lot of times we don't talk
I'll
about
say,
it.
yeah, I'm not going to expose
Okay.
her age.
I wasn't asking you to, I just got up with you.
So, and that's it.
All right. HG?
Yes, sir. As Brian mentioned, school's starting soon, and everyone should definitely drive safely, but buy your school supplies local, and then be kind, and that's all I have.
How about you, Tim?
Nothing from me tonight.
Nothing from Tim?
Nothing from Tim.
All right. Jerry?
Well, I got a few things.
Okay.
Mike, congratulations to your group as well. In my previous life, I used to, that's one of the things I did, and it's so important to make sure that your employees, your teammates are safe, and that they come in, go home the same way. So thank you for that. I happened to be here. I was fortunate to be here today when Miss Kathy did a fantastic job of hosting the Boys and Girls Club this morning, and just want to kind of say hello to them. And they were so excited when they got in here. And Kathy was talking, and she was going through her discussion, and all of a sudden they put the pictures of the kids up on the screen, and they started noticing that they were up there. Well, Kathy, I think, lost them at that time because they were so excited to see their stuff up on the screen. But
You maintain control, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I stood right over there
Yeah.
and watched. But it was fun watching those young boys and girls. So, got to go to the Food Truck Friday last weekend. Really had a good time there over at Cedarstone Park. They did a nice job. I think they ran out of food on a couple of the trucks, but it was I think it was a fun time held by everyone. Also got to go to the MTSU caravan last night. We appreciate them coming to our town. That was really good that they would come down and spend some time. And we actually had the largest group of any that they've had show up. So Smyrna came out in force and really had a good time there. Got to meet the football coach and the basketball coach, So we've talked about the back to school and again, to reiterate that as well, but also want to say my condolences to Tim Slate. Tim is on our planning commission. He's the mayor. He's the mayor's brother-in-law. He lost his father, so our condolences go out to Tim. And the last thing I wanted to mention is a gentleman by the name of Michael Hicks. I don't know if anybody knows Michael or not, but Michael played basketball here in Smyrna. And I happened to have the pleasure of playing with his dad, which is George Miller. Some of these guys remember George, and George is one of the Hall of Fame members on the basketball team, and his mom was Lisa Hicks. Michael, as far as I know, is the first Olympic athlete from the town of Smyrna, and Michael played on the Polish basketball team at the Olympics this past week. So talked with George a little bit, and he was excited about it. And I don't think they had the outcome that they wanted, but it's just a pretty nice honor to have an Olympian from your town. So congratulations to Michael, and just wish him the best.
Thank you, Jerry. Jerry did mention the Blue Raider Blitz, and one of the things I was going to say was our appreciation to them for coming out to our park and having the Blue Raider Blitz and all the people that came and showed up and supported that. So thank you to our Parks and Rec Department for their work getting that done and setting that up and having them come and visit at our park. And thanks to everyone who had the opportunity to attend the event. Also, the registration's open for the 2021 Top Gun Night Run. The race will be held on Friday, November 5th at 7 p.m. in Lee Victory Recreation Park. This is a 3.7-mile course. It includes Smyrna, Rutherford County Airport, and the Smyrna Golf Course, with the finish line at the Captain Jeff Coos USMC Memorial. Spectators and runners will enjoy live music and food trucks in the park. This run will be chip-timed, so it will be chip-timed. And USATF certified and limited to 650 participants. All proceeds from this race benefit the maintenance and upkeep of the Captain Jeff Coos USMC Memorial. Visit the town's website to learn more about this. And when I look at HG and cut up with him, he knows what I'm doing. We're teasing a little bit, but we have fun with that. So he and the mayor will be chip-timed this year. So. I also wanted to mention Tim Slate's family, so I appreciate Jerry bringing that up. Tim Morrell and I work with Tim Slate on the Planning Commission. He's a valuable partner to us on the planning body, and he did lose his dad recently, so our condolences go out to Tim and his family, and let them know we're thinking of all of them. Robert, I know he's still in the booth, and we said thank you, but Robert, once again, I know you're probably listening. We do appreciate all your time and your service here at the town of Smyrna, and we wish you well. Also, we received a text this week. I actually talked to Hal. Hal was the Smyrna Golf Course director, and Smyrna Golf Course was recognized as the Main Street 2021 award winner for the best golf course. So, Hal, great job. He's excited to have the golf scramble out there and let everybody see the work they've done on the golf course. So even if you're a bad golfer and you're coming to the scramble, you might want to get with Hal first. He's got that course in pretty good shape, he says, and you divot makers, he might not want to see too much of that going on. So other than that, shop local, like Tim HG said. But one of the things, tonight we're short 2 people. Steve is out of town, and the mayor has her sleeves rolled up, and she is in business locally of selling school supplies, and this is a very, very, very busy season for her. So we would encourage you to consider shopping local at all your retailers that help school get back in order. And as Brian and some others have already said, safety is a measure here. We have to be very, very attentive. School buses are going to be running, traffic control at the school sites and things like that. There are a lot of people excited about going back to school, and we're hoping that school is a much simpler process this year than it was last year for our teachers and the kids and all the staff involved. So we want to wish everybody a great back-to-school season. With that, unless there's something else, I will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.